Let's do it. All right. Good morning, everyone from the West Coast. I am Marta Voda. I am your moderator today for all things battle-tested moms working the mom mindset. And my beautiful speakers and panelists are joining me today from Chicago and from the greater New York area. The first one is somebody who I've known for years, and she is, I think, just one of the sweetest people I've met in New York, Mayland. Erin is a mom. She's a new mom to a spunky little 3-year-old. She is also violinist for Hamilton on Broadway, and she has also been on the Disney version of Broadway, so you can hear her. And during COVID, when Broadway shut down, she took a very long pause. I remember talking through it, like how she would make a pivot in her career, being a working mom, but all of a sudden having her industry put on hold. And she started an incredible music program and resource for all things for young musicians. So, Erin, thank you for joining us today. Next, we have Ann Piper. Ann works at Spotify. She is a mom to 2 boys, and 13 and 12. She's also got a doggy. And when she isn't, wrangling folks at Spotify, she's wrangling a lot of legs in her house. She moved from California to Connecticut a couple of years ago. So I'm wondering if the culture shock has worn off. Maybe you'll share a little bit about that with us. We have Jenna from Weber Shandwick. Jenna has 2 twins and a 6-year-old, a gerbil and a dog. Namaste, woman. Like, you win.
I feel like the gerbil is all the rage these days. A lot of gerbils being adopted.
I think that's fantastic. She's a creative director, working with media and culture and compelling and relevant conversations. She's a mentor. She's a lecturer. She is a fashion icon, clearly in her Moto mom jacket. Welcome. And rounding out our group is my dear Christy, and she is one of my colleagues, and I get to work with her, and she's got 2 teens at home, 11 and 14, and as well as 2 mischievous cats. And like the rest of us, Christy has many, many roles. She's not just an executive recruiter. She's a chauffeur. She's a chef. She's your cheerleader. She's mom. So welcome, everyone. I'd like to start off with your thoughts on the mom mindset. And the mom mindset to me is, actually, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm a recovering HR executive. I've worked for such companies as Activision and Viacom, Clorox, Madison Reed. The last few years, I've been doing executive coaching, primarily with women in their careers and helping them get to next level, as well as executive search and some consulting. And I've been a mom for 20 years, and I've been working the entire time. And as an HR executive, you talk about having a growth mindset versus this fixed mindset. But I think that, I take that one next level, which is the mom mindset, and how I prioritize all the things that I do all day long to multitask my family, the home, my employees, my job, my CEOs, and then whatever I can for myself. And it's definitely a mindset of like flow and how many things can I do at once in an excellent way. And today we're going to share our stories on our own mom mindset. So with all of that, I would like to ask you, what is your current mindset right now? If in one word you could describe your current mindset, would love to hear it. And I'll just let you jump in.
I'm just going to use that here first. I would say
go for it, Jenna. I mean, if I could say my mindset right now, it might be medicated, but it's not. I would say it's battle tested if I could use one word.
Yeah. I would say simplicity. I'm trying to strip as many things out of the mix as possible. I now only have a black top wardrobe because I have to get up, get 3 kids out on the bus. I fight with my daughter every single day about what she's going to wear. It's like, I just need one less thing to think about. So with everything, it's like, how do I put in the least amount of effort? How do I make it as simple as possible? Like just strip it down. So that's my mindset, is simplify.
I'm going to borrow that one.
I was just thinking I need to borrow that.
Yeah. Erin, what would you say is your mom mindset word of the day right now?
Well, this might sound a little bit darker than simplicity, but I think right now I feel like survival. It just has been such an intense, for everyone, for different reasons, right? 14 months, 15 months since we really got hit with this. I feel like even though I haven't had my normal job to go to, I've never been busier in my entire life, like trying to start a business and trying to do all these things and trying to take care of my kid and all these other, life things. I feel like maybe that is in a way simplicity though, because it makes me strip out every other thing. I mean, so many things I let go and just say, that just can't happen right now. I have to put my energy here. So maybe a positive spin on it is simplicity, now that I think about it in a different light. So thanks for saying that, because now I can kind of stop thinking survival and go to, no, it's a good thing. I'm stripping away and just doing everything every minute.
Yeah.
I think survival is also a good one for all of us. Like, let's just get through the day. I remember in the beginning of COVID when we were on lockdown, like my number one goal was just like stay out of the hospital, just make sure that we're all healthy and doing whatever it takes to do that. And look, we've come out on the other side. And Christy,
I was thinking about simplicity myself, but that also kind of ranges in like energy levels. So I think about, how do I just kind of not get burnt out, because I argue with my son every day just to get out of bed and we have to negotiate. So then, what am I doing from like, can I take a walk? Can I just have 10 minutes and then like reframe my headspace going into work? And, all those things that you're constantly juggling and trying to be ahead of, because I think that's also what makes us successful, is we always have to be 3 steps ahead of everyone and like anticipating things that are coming or what's going on for the week, or are we going to have groceries at the end of the day and all of those things. So I'm just thinking about, all right, how do I manage just my energy level? So I stay consistent and I don't like crash and burn. And that's probably my current mindset. And I would just echo with what Jenna and Erin said too, just in terms of, the past year and a half has really kind of challenged that for sure.
For sure.
I would just say an iteration, I guess, of simplicity is just forward. It's not optimism. It's not resilience, because some days are just really friggin' hard. And so I would just say forward. I'm constantly just focused on, this is our reality now. I know it's not always going to be like this. So I'm just constantly thinking about what can we do to hold things together now to keep things on the right track, so that I know at some point things are going to get better. So I'm just like in a very forward mindset, whatever I need to do to keep pushing that ball up the hill. So it's just not always easy, but That's all we can do right now. At least all I can do.
Forward.
I love that.
Me too. Well, thank you, ladies, for sharing that. Interesting couple of words that came up. I fight with my child on what they wear, what they get up. The fight in my house is about hydration. I'm like, I have an athlete who's always complaining about her muscles aching, like drink water. And there is that fight. And, when I think to myself, and I'm getting to a point here, it's like, okay, so I got pregnant, my physical appearance changes, my body morphs as this human being grows inside of me. Then I let this human being feed off of me. And then I go to work and I bleed and I pump and I've got hormones going through me and I'm spending all of my money and effort, priorities to raise this human being. And then, I'm like, hey, can you take out the trash? I'm like, oh, you would never think, like, this human being was like, turns on me. I'm like, why does it have to work through this child constantly? And I think to myself, one of my best friends sent me something like, wow, it's like, that's the reward, isn't it? And I think to myself sometimes, like, what am I doing? Why am I fighting with this child? This is not my beautiful life. And then I get myself back into that mindset of gratitude of, what, she's been stuck at home, all of this time. She's not with her friends. She's not doing anything that she's supposed to. And I have to get myself calmed down and understand and patient, but it's hard. And I'm curious for all of you, what are some of the sacrifices? Like, how do you get yourself back to a place of gratitude when you are fighting with your kids, which is a reality, especially if we've got teenagers or you've got toddlers? I'd just love to know more.
I wish I had an answer for you. I tell my kids to count to 10. I can't make it to 5. I am learning from them. My daughter's like getting mindfulness. Again, I'm talking about her a lot, but they're in 2nd grade. And so, I've actually seen her like try to help me where she'll be like, Mommy, maybe you could take a deep breath. You're like, maybe I could. That's really good advice. I'm actually having the kids lead me a little bit here because, gosh, it's tough. And a lot of days it feels like an epic fail. But luckily the schools are out there training. MIT is doing this really cool thing. There's a game called Mightier, which her twin brother's a little angry. But it's a game that as you get frustrated, it like teaches you breathing exercises. But I was like, hey, I can put a level in for me. So I steal their game and play it at night when they're asleep.
Amazing.
Yeah. I love that your little one calls you out. I once had my teenager say, how many times do you have to ask before you just lose it? She's like, I think you should be working out. You're a little aggressive, and I don't know where this is coming from, Mom. I feel you.
Wow.
What are some of the other examples of where you're like, this child, I love this child. How do you get yourself back to that point?
I think.
Go ahead, Ann.
Oh, go ahead, Kirsty. You talk. I'll go after you.
Yeah, I was just going to say when they were little, when they were sleeping and quiet, like that would be when there was that's when I would just be like, oh yes, they're beautiful and precious and angelic. But it was usually, and sometimes that applies to my husband too. It was like when they're sleeping, you can kind of like fall back in love with them pretty easily. But I really try. I just find the days are always like this. They even out a little bit as the kids get older, but it's finding those moments when you're up here and just spending a little bit extra time recognizing what is making this moment really special. And that kind of is when you're like, oh, right, like they're funny and they're caring and they have these really unique passions, and that's really cool. So it's just like trying to just take a moment, take a picture, a mental picture, and then I'm like, okay, and then you can make it a little easier. Go ahead, Anne. Sorry.
So true. So true. I think probably the simplicity of this also comes in just letting go and also having that, like, I do have to parent differently. My one son is so up and at 'em. What can I do, Mom? Like, how can I help? And I'm still trying to convince the older one, like picking up the sock or whatever it is, right? Getting out of bed, like it's going to get hard. I just picture him in college, like never going to class. And I think that I ultimately am like, Anne, that's not what it's not about you and like what's happening or what you think his life's going to be like. The best you can do is like make him that, and that's who he is. My dad is like, you're not going to change this kid. So help him really be true to who he is. And in that, like, if it's his idea, like I was like, hey, what do you think about, should we make it a treat on Friday to go to Dunkin'? Or like, like you get all B's, here's something we can do. He thinks it's good that he doesn't have a C on his report card right now. So I'm like, just making it like we get to the B's. So I think my sacrifices in some respects are like, how am I really, really understanding my child in a way that motivates him? And it's not about what I want, even though I need to parent. At the end of the day, you're the parent. The inmates can't run the asylum. But if they can really start to think and be motivated in a way where it's like my mom understands me, then I think they're just going to be better human beings overall. And I just pray to God that he will be that kid that will put his dish in the dishwasher at some point when he has roommates. Because, it's like, I want him to be able to put away his laundry and not expect, whoever his partner is to do it. So there's my angst, Marta.
I don't know if this is any light at the end of the tunnel for you, but I used to practically drag my daughter out of bed every morning. And now that she's working and she's going to school, she's up early. She definitely understands like how important that is. Well, thank you for sharing that. Working from home means that the gardener's here. So I'm going to apologize for a little bit of the noise. I would love to know, just moving now from like mom at home to working mom, because we all have things that we are accountable for, things that we are to deliver. Some of us have bosses, some of us are the boss. How do you prioritize all of the things that you have to be accountable for at work when you also have things that you must be accountable for at home? And one of the examples that always comes up, maybe not so much during COVID, is what to do when they're sick. I've got a meeting and somebody's got, the sniffles, they can't go to school today, or I'm right in the middle of something and I get the call. And there's always like this level of anxiety of like, I don't want to let my team down. I want to be a good mom. And I have negotiations in my head of how I'm going to make that decision. And I'm curious for all of you, like, how do you prioritize? And then maybe we'll get to balance after that. So yeah, I'll let one of you answer.
Erin, do you want to lead this one?
I was just thinking I might be the least qualified to answer this because of the shutdown and my daughter's just turned 3. I only really have, a year and 6 months of experience of working with the kid. And also, just the nature of my job, if I get called at work, I can't leave. I mean, I guess in an extreme circumstance, I could get up and leave, but I can't walk out of a show because my kid's sick, there's a line at which, yes, I could walk out of the show, but, I'd probably risk my job permanently for doing that. So like that, I don't really experience that aspect. I think most parents do. And honestly, it's something that has scared me this whole time. Like, what happens if I'm sitting in the middle of a show and something happens? I mean, I don't know. I also have to take it as it comes, I guess. And I can say, actually, I was thinking one of the ways I've coped with it, partially because my work schedule is such weird hours, and she can't go to daycare. That does not exist on the weekends and at night. So we always just had this roster of babysitters. And I basically had my schedule, my husband's schedule, and every babysitter's schedule, their school schedules, their work schedules in my head at all times. Every day I would wake up and think, okay, something goes wrong today. Who else can I call? And do I have 2 backups at all times? And like, okay, what about subs? And what if I have to bail the last second? So I would also know my subs schedules. So that's how I kind of just managed it. Was way too much unnecessary information in my head at all times. And honestly, it was very it's exhausting to have that extra layer of worry. But I think it's probably common to all of us. Right?
Yeah. I would say you're a little bit more extreme on the losing the job, right? Kind of moment, because it's not like I'm at a board meeting or like, something where or like I'm on CNBC, and like that kind of level. But what I have learned over the years is that, yes, you're going to get the call, and you do, your priority at the time, right, is about your child and like what you need to do. And it's usually this debate between my husband and I, like which one could do it. I mean, even yesterday, Winston got kennel cough and like had to go get a prescription, the dog. And then it's like, okay, I'm moving my schedule around to make that happen. Before, I used to be like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing this. Like, I need to be on every call. But I think if the communication plan, just your subs and like thinking through like a team of people, it's not usually just one person. I think that's what I've realized over time, like the transfer of information, the fact that you are a team, and that, yes, maybe I was leading a call and could I have somebody step in for me, or we'll do a follow-up, or we can reschedule. I think I've just become more comfortable with being uncomfortable in those situations and saying, hey, there's some things I need to move around. Sorry for any inconvenience. But like no meeting is kind of worth if your child's hurt or sick, and maybe that's happening for a reason, to kind of just, again, what are your priorities? How do you need to handle these situations? Like, and so that's kind of where the mindset I've been dealing with it.
Yeah. Jenna, Christy, do you have any examples of how you prioritize?
It's funny. I have to say the silver lining of the whole COVID thing has been, I feel like kids haven't gotten sick for a year. And it's like, we used to go through 2 bottles of cold medicine every winter because it would just be constant. And I just realized, like, wait a minute, we have to go. But I do think it's interesting. I think what I struggle for is what my kids think is an urgent emergency and what I think is an urgent emergency. You're 7 and 6, and I'm not. There is a huge delta between those things. They will charge into the office. They will, or sometimes they'll like sneak in, and I have told them, like, just quietly put your hand on my hand if you really need it. And so they'll command they'll crawl in, and the little hand will come up. I'll be like, okay, They don't do it when like the younger brother has wandered over to the neighbor's house and has left the property while in the meeting. No one tells me. They do if the timer has gone off on Minecraft and I really have to enter in.
Oh my God.
So, that's amazing. Priorities.
Seriously, but I think for me the big struggle has been define emergency.
Define emergency. Yeah.
I was going to say I have aging parents, so I'm like kind of sandwiched between, my kids are older now, but my parents, and my mom was not a working mom. And so this idea of defining emergency, I do find that I need to maybe have that conversation with them, because I will, and not to be morbid, but there have been times where I've been on conference calls or video calls, and my mom will call 3 times back to back, like within like 10 minutes. And in my head, I'm like, oh, this is it. This is the phone call. Like, this is the one. And I call. So we were thinking, when we come this weekend, do you want to have chicken or do you want to have roast beef? I'm like, this happens frequently. So I like want to try to find a way to say, I'm here for you. But if I don't answer the phone, there's probably a reason. So like, if it's not an emergency, can you take a break? So I do find like, there's just those funny moments of just, again, like what emergency is, but I see it on both sides now, because again, I'm dealing with it, I think, on that side too. But I also think as I've gotten older, I have given myself a lot more leeway, to Anne's point, to say, no, like I'm going to be 15 minutes late. We can reschedule this till tomorrow, and knowing like what truly can be moved and what can't. And I never would have done that when I was younger, ever. So.
Do you find that when you do that, have you ever gotten pushback with your boss or with clients, or do you feel like people generally understand, or the people who do understand, who are those people?
I have felt like that's maybe been the best change in the corporate and workplace dynamic for me. I mean, I'm super privileged in that I think in the communications industry, we've mostly been able to work from our homes. And I think clients being able to see in your home, like for every time I've been sort of mortified that a kid is throwing a temper tantrum or like interrupting a meeting, the client on the other side is like, I live that too. So I think now seeing each other as people, there's no longer this performance art of I am only a professional person, or I'm only, now we're relating on a different level. And I feel nothing but empathy when somebody else's kid is like screaming in the background, or like you can hear their, co-parent, really yelling at someone, and it's like coming through the meeting and you watch their face. One of my best friends at work, I can tell when she's pumping on a call. I know that little sound of she's got her like video up from here. But I love that, like, we can now, like, we're real people and we're all in this together. And there's a level, I was getting super stressed and upset about, like, my kids are gonna, ruin this. And then I started watching the men. Their kids come in and they put them on their lap and they snuggle them, and they don't feel like they need to apologize for incorporating kids into their lives, because everyone's like, oh, great dad. Whereas I'm still trying to like prove I belong in the room. So it's like, don't look at these things over here. So I kind of learned to be kinder to myself and incorporate them more, and realize that what I hope is that going forward, we're all going to just look at each other as like whole human beings with lives and families, and better relationships. Sorry, long answer.
That's a good answer. Thank you.
Amen to that.
Yeah, very good answer. I have to say, like, one of the best things about Spotify, just having, Swedish roots, and the reason I moved my family cross country is because it is very much about like a mindful organization when it comes to that. I mean, both parents, male or female, get the 6 months time off to be with their child. And I think, through certain situations, like, I think my bosses all the way up to the top understand, and really talk about mental health and how that's just really important for the overall business. And Jenna, to your point, I think, that translates into, everyone understanding and being empathetic to situations, right? Because you really understand your family dynamic through this time. So I think there's more times of like, hey, I need you here, or that's fine. Just, this is what needs to be done today. Let's just make sure that communication's happening. But there's never this like guilt because of, what you need to do. We understand, you'll get it done. So it's very refreshing. And I think it's going to be a really, even with, getting back to the office, how those things kind of continue to transpire, right? When you've got people in person to, people on calls. So I think that's going to be like a next phase of that iteration. But I think we've also realized that like we can be very functional during this time and be moms and heads of sales.
Yeah. Any other perspective? No.
I will say, I heard Michelle Obama on a podcast, and she was talking about when she was getting one of her first jobs in Chicago, working for I think it was the mayoral office. I'm probably going to get this wrong, but she was talking about another senior African-American woman who had brought her on. And she said one of the most impressive, and again, this is going back probably 20 years, but that she saw with her is she would be in the middle of holding a meeting with 20 people, from the city in high level positions. And if her daughter would call, she would stop and she would say, "This is my daughter, I'm taking this." And she would go and take the call in front of everyone, talk to her, go into mom mode, and then come right back and go into boss mode. And she said that really left an impact on her on priorities and that you can be two things at once. And so I thought that was such a great story, because to Jenna's point, I think we are sometimes afraid of showing that side of ourselves still, even today.
I agree.
100%.
I have a rule in my house. Well, I mean, obviously I'm here now, but like you text me first if it is something that can wait. But if it's an emergency, there's a sense of urgency, you call me. And it doesn't have to, like you call me and I will stop and I will take the call. And I think it's good knowing, like my girls know that that's the boundary. And on the very, very rare occasions they've called, I'm like, okay, I got to take, and it has been something urgent. And, for several years, I've been the boss and I've had a lot of employees reporting to me. And I think that I bring a lot of that nurturing that I have for my kids to my employees. And when somebody's kid is sick or somebody's got a doctor's appointment, there's no apologies. Like, go take care of your family. Like, I know that you're going to, take care of your work. The other day, I was talking to my CIO and I found myself almost like asking for forgiveness of like, I'm going to have to leave a few days early. There's no carpools. I've got to take my daughter to, swim team. And she's like, there's no problem. Just go and do what you need to do. We trust you. We know that everything's going to happen. And it's such a relief to know that, because when I first started out my career, and being a young mom with a toddler, early 2000s, like I would have people like, oh, well, are you going to be able to work late tonight? Now that you're pregnant, like, what does that mean? And I think that the fear had already started in me because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to make some, major career sacrifices. And the sacrifices I've made have been, wholly for me and for my family. So yeah, got it. I'd like to move our conversation to multitasking and all of the things that the mom mindset that we do, of how we prioritize and how we kind of flow through our day. I usually start out my day with making breakfast, stirring eggs, checking emails, pouring coffee, like handing out money, still checking emails, like, yeah, I'll fix your hair. Yep. And then it just kind of flows throughout the day, working from home. I can fold laundry while I'm listening to a call. There's a lot of things that I feel like working from home has made me an ultra multitasker. But I'm curious to know, like, how you flow and how many things can you do at once, or do you do at once? Because it all needs to get done. So, any takers?
Well,
I'm the worst.
Well, Erin, why don't you start? What were you going to say? And we'll get to you, Anne.
Actually, it's funny you said I'm the worst. I'm thinking I do multitask maybe all day long. And I don't think I'm very good at it, although I want to think I'm good at it.
I'm sure you
but
are.
I was thinking about my most intense multitasking that I think I got good at was, I kind of alluded to this earlier, but I used to do all of my booking babysitters and booking subs while I played Hamilton in the pit. I played dot, da, 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 and then I on my phone texting. Are you available next Saturday? Can you be there at 5? Because I need to be at the show at, and I would be in the middle of 12 different text conversations. Oh, my restaurant better start playing again. So I feel like that's my most intense multitasking situation. And by the way, they did know I was doing that. Like, it's not uncommon to see people in a covered pit, texting. But yeah, but I was thinking it's not like that was a real happy feeling. It was definitely very stressful. Obviously I can't not come in after a rest, and also can't not get a babysitter booked also. So that's my most intense thing. But I definitely relate to I'm making breakfast and I'm trying to see what's going on with building my website, and my kid, I'm brushing her teeth at the same time and asking her to go use the potty. And, yeah, I feel you, Martha. I feel you.
All of us. I didn't know that you were mastering multitasking in between Hamilton sets.
Well, I hope to not do it as much when I go back. I would like to think that I've used this time to slow myself down, but I don't think it's true.
Anne, you said I'm the worst. I have a very hard time believing this, but go ahead and share.
I am the worst. Like, I feel like I try to do it, yet I'm failing. So I'm a Virgo, and I feel like a focus is like my strength. Like, I'm very borderline introvert, extrovert. So I feel like listening is an important skill. And if I can listen usually well, then I'll get things right. And in my mind, I tend to be an early riser, so I can get to email early and kind of get all that stuff done. And then when I'm in meetings, I'm trying to be present in meetings versus emailing and doing all that too. But I definitely do it. And I'm like, oh God, I got to update that presentation. And then I'm running the meeting at 3, and then I'm joining a meeting at 4, and I've got to contribute these 3 things. So I better know what my talking points are. So then I gotta be able to I'm working on my executive storytelling for my revenue call. And, I got to make sure I'm doing that. So put that on the calendar. So I try to do reminders and things on the calendar. And then I'm trying to get a loan for the remodel. And so I've got my, hey, we need one more statement from you. Can you send us a note? So then I'm trying to get 529s going for the kids. Taxes are due. So I think I'm multitasking somewhat in my head and thinking about when I need to do, or delegating it to James, the husband. You're going to get the kids. We got this today. Can you pick up Whit? His mom just texted me. But I'm horrible at it. I really don't feel like I'm really as present. And I feel like I'm in the aging process. Maybe I'm living by Yale, New Haven, because my mind, being able to keep up with everything in it is I got to break it down.
I will make you feel better because I am worse than you. I get so focused that I actually have no idea what's going on around me. I started moving into the dining room because I have little kids, and when they were all on Zoom, I had 2 kids in 2nd grade and 1 kid in kindergarten, and they would go to elaborate lengths to not attend school. My little one would turn the brightness down on his screen and be like, Zoom's over. And he hit mute, and he'd just look, screen. So
that's amazing.
Office, and I moved to the dining room so that present of parents. And so they're in their 2 different rooms within eye view, and I'll be working. My husband will come in and be like, why are the kids in class? What? And they'll be playing Legos, like completely right in front of me. Like I have moved my entire workplace to be where I can see them. I can't multitask, and it didn't take them very long to figure out she's not paying attention. They were like literally playing and wrestling and like talking to each other, and I'm so like zoomed in. I have no idea what's going on around me. So my husband's like, just forget it. Go back in your office. You're, like you are not doing this whole like parenting and working thing successfully.
Oh, I love it.
Christy, do you have any tales?
I think I'm really good at task multitasking. So like do this, and like flip around to a million different things. I'm really bad at person multitasking, to Jenna's point. Like I am not good. Like I'm in my office all day, really don't know what my kids are doing, like checking in and out and doing that I'm bad at. I'm also really bad at mental multitasking. And I mean that like if I'm in a very detailed mindset and a very action-oriented mindset, and I have to go to something that's a big ideas kind of situation where I've literally got to be thoughtful and I've got to take my time, I'm very bad at making that shift. So I think I know myself well enough now that I know that like if I want to do something thoughtful, I need to try to block time in the morning, and I need to read and be quiet and do that. But to do that throughout the day, I'm horrible. So I know what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
What are you really, really good at? I feel like all of you described really amazing ways that you multitask, but you all said you were bad at it. And I'm gonna just own it. Like I think I'm really good. And maybe it's because I've got like a few more years with a 20-year-old now. Like I mastered it. But I definitely maximize, I optimize the time that I have. And like you, Erin, like I run scenarios in my head of backup plans and who's going to take Sasha to swim team. And I got to get to this meeting and I got groceries and the cat needs her shots and I want to go kayaking, but I it's just Thursday. I got to figure this all out. But I do find that things in my house, like they get done as a result of the multitasking. But I would like to know from all of you, like, what are things that since particularly, of us working at home, being moms, working, like things that you just don't even care about anymore. And I'm going to go first. Like, I used to be the woman who had like flawless hair and makeup and the beautiful outfits. Like I really looked put together. And now there was like actually last week, I had to get up and adjust my door. And when I got up, the person who was on saw that I was still wearing my cheetah print PJ bottoms, but I had a beautiful sweater on top. And I'm like, she's like, nice bottoms. I'm like, aren't they? They're really comfortable. Just let it go. Just let it go. So what are things that you do now? And you're like, whatever.
I stopped making our bed. I just don't care. I used to make my bed every day. I made the kids make their bed every day. Now my daughter has food in her bed. My son's not even sleeping under his covers. I just pull back I just don't care. I'm like, I just don't care anymore.
I have given up on food. I am not going to be the person in charge of that. Like, if my husband wants to cook, that's amazing. He can go do that. I not only won't cook, I won't even like help with the shopping. We get Fresh Direct, and he'll say like, "Have you updated the cart?" Nope.
Oh my God, you're my hero.
On the rare night when he is working or something that isn't here, like I'll be getting off a call, it'll be a half hour before the kids' bedtime. I'll be like, okay, let's open up the fridge and eat whatever's in it. Like, done. I'm not cooking.
I applaud you as well. Yeah.
That is so badass.
What about you, Erin? What do you just like Forget
I have a new life goal, and that is to be like Jenna with this. Because I feel like I spend way too much time. We're doing, still grocery curbside pickup, on the computer. What do we need? And what am I going to cook? And every day, what's for dinner? I know we were kind of laughing about that, Marta. What's for dinner? I mean, it's just like this constant in the back of my mind thing. So I think I might change. This is very exciting. I didn't even think this being an option, but this is an option.
So much time back because people have to eat. And if you refuse to be the one in charge of it, hours.
You get hours back in your life. I never knew that being a mom would entail like breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. Sometimes they want dessert, birthday cakes. I feel like in our house at 6:30, you're going to have dinner. I can't tell you what I'm making. I can't tell you if we're going to DoorDash. But if you ask me what's for dinner before 6:30, you're in charge of dinner. And so these two will walk around all day long. I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. And then they'll catch themselves. I'm like, well, what's it going to be? Lean cuisine. I'm like, you can do better than that. I mean, I just made you shrimp scampi last night. So we get there. Yeah. Anne, what are some things that you're like, forget it, not doing it anymore, don't need to?
Laundry. I mean, it's definitely, it's keeping the marriage together. I have somebody come in and do our laundry twice a week. Yeah. And like clean the house and get all that done. I do. James and I would say he's probably a bit more on meal planning and like getting that done. He's just a good chef, and I'll usually clean like later. And so we've kind of got a balance there. I take the kids to school, he picks them up, and he does all like kind of the sports and like driving around because he's kind of able to manage his schedule that way. But I just thought, during the pandemic, I was like, my kids have got to know how to do laundry and fold laundry and put it in their drawers and put it away. And we did rally and we made some fun times together and all of that. But now it's just like I've given up. And so it's like my one luxury amongst maybe
you're
some
wearing
jackets
bikini
sometimes.
bottoms instead of underwear because you're just like, it's just been too long. You've hit a low point, but I also I'm like, it's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, like changing sheets and doing all that kind of stuff. It's just like, can you just help us out?
Yeah.
It's like, that's like the change afresh is like, it's a win.
Totally.
There used to be a level of perfection that I wanted my house to be in. And it is just me. So I've dialed up their life skills and they do know how to cook. They do know how to clean up enough, and after themselves, and do laundry. So I've outsourced it to my kids. And, during COVID, when I like lost all my clients and it was just me, I'm like, I have all of this time, yet I don't really feel like I'm good at doing the laundry. I'm just not very good at like putting the laundry away. And somewhere in my bedroom, there is a desk. There's a desk and there's a chair. And I would say it's like probably up to here now, like I'll just get to it versus before I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to put that on hangers. So I feel all of you. We've got just a few minutes. And my last question is because you do all look so gorgeous and put together. And I know that you are raising families, you're raising your business. Like, what do you do to make yourself like on Zoom? This is how we're interacting. Like, how much time does it take to get to this point where you're like camera ready to go, move into character from mom to Marta? So good to see you. What's your routine to get to this point?
And you want to kick this one off?
I mean,
I feel like you're probably the most camera ready on most days. You and Jenna.
Well, today is a non-wash hair day. So today I take the iron and I give a little bit of a little curl and a little wave. And I would say, I just look at, all right, what is my first meeting time? What time should I get up? Right. I try to be up at 5:30. Can I go for a walk and do all those things? Of course not. I'm like praying that it's still too cold outside for me in the morning. So that's my culture shock of the East Coast. Winter's going on too. Yet I would say again, I try like do the basic things and, the blush and all that. And then I tend to, my wardrobe is a little bit more, I just love jackets. So I tend to want to just like use the jackets and feel like it just puts me more in like work mode. And so I would say it's probably like 30 minutes from when I get home from dropping the kids off at school and getting camera ready. And then I try to, kind of get up and say, all right, I got to go drink water. I got to take a walk. Can I do this call outside and think through, kind of part of that energy and like, where do I need to be on camera and where can I just be a voice and help?
Yeah. What are some other things that you just let go now?
Well, Marta, you and I work together. I mean, if I don't have any client calls, I'm in a baseball hat most days. So my hair is usually pretty out of control. And I just am like, there's just no reason. I have nobody to impress. There's nothing. I don't need to come across professional to my coworkers. They know who I am. So I give myself the leverage to just relax on days that I can relax.
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
Makeup free as many days as possible. A ponytail works really well. And this has been my cheat is you can wear a t-shirt, you throw a leather jacket over it. It's no different than wearing a sweatshirt, but it feels different.
It looks good. I think my leather jacket, all of my clothes just sit there like, hi, we're here to wear us. And then I wear probably the same 4 outfits and I just like interchange sweaters on days and I'm going to be on camera. Well, we've got just 6 minutes left on our talk. I would love to end out with your advice to somebody who is thinking about being a mom, who's in the workforce, somebody who is pregnant, who is worried about what it's going to be like when she goes back to work, and our new moms, the moms who are pumping, the moms who are like just trying their best to keep it together, and what parting advice you have. I also just need to remind you, if you could actually say your entire name, because I forgot to. This is something that we're supposed to do very, very early on in our call. But who wants to go first? I'm going to save my advice for last. Bit of advice.
The first thing that came into my mind was, and I think almost, I would guess in any industry you would find this, but find the other moms and they will probably find you in your workplace. One of the unexpected rewards was just suddenly feeling like I had been inducted into this sisterhood in the workplace. That they would take one look at me and just know and they could see the exhaustion. I was pumping in the pit, in this little curtained area with everyone around me. And the moms were like, I got you. What do you need? They'd bring me food and bring me snacks. And, I feel like without those fellow mothers around me, it would have been so much harder. So I would say seek those people out. If they don't come find you, go find them.
Right. They're in Mayland, everyone. Thank you.
Sorry.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go, Jenna Young. I would say don't let the Instagram get you down. Everyone has times when they're not good moms. Everybody's kind of, you be kind to yourself, but understand that, like, I read somewhere that it's like out of the day of parenting, 80% of it is really hard and like 20% of it is joyful. And I think in our minds, we expect it to be the other way around. And we just think, especially like, I worked really hard to get kids. And you kind of think like, I'm going to cherish every moment with them and appreciate it. It is hard. It is hard more than it is rewarding. So yeah, I would say don't judge yourself by the appearance of how other people are doing. And have a healthy dose of like instant amnesia and short-term memory loss. Because you just have to like be like Dory in Finding the
Thank you, Jenna. We've got 2 minutes left. So really quick parting words, and just if you could say your name one more time.
Christy Hartbarger, I would just say that, it really is be kind to yourself. And I would also say that moms are a hardy breed. And no matter what you think you can't do, you're wrong. You'd be amazing at what you could do when you put your mind to it. So just know that.
I feel you. Thank you.
Yeah. And Ann Piper here, I would say, it's the hardest job, but it is the most rewarding job. And ask for help. Like, it's okay. It does take a village. And so make those times, even if you've got good friends who can spend an hour and you can get out for a walk or take the baby on walks, like fresh air. And it is so worth it, but it is hard, right, when you're in it. And so I would just say, just ask for help and hang with those that are going through it. It's a great, just like this, really appreciate the time, Marta. This has been so good to just think about women and careers and just living, right? We're just living life.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Marta Voda, and thank you for joining us. My bit of wisdom is, you know what? It gets a lot better. Toddler years, every single year was better than the last until about 13 to 16. I think the first 20 years are the hardest of motherhood. My mom would say the first 40. And I would say let go of the fear, because you would be pleasantly surprised how warm, welcoming, and understanding everyone else is at work. So namaste, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for watching our little chat today on the mom mindset, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Marta.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Bye.
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 Bye.